Welcome home, brave heroes. I'm Ash, this is Ash Quest, and today I finally want to show you something that I've had for a little while. I say finally, and I say I've had it for a little while because a bit earlier I decided to finally subscribe to Dungeon in a Box. And Dungeon in a Box is something I've kind of been waiting on, researching, trying to find other videos about. There's painfully little out there about this service. But what it is it's a monthly subscription service where the provider will send you a dungeon in a box, specially designed once a month. And it seems like no matter when you start your subscription, you're always going to get the first module in the total campaign. I struggle to say campaign because each one that is sent to you is designed to be either a one shot, which you can use these as one shots. You can have them play out at your table, and they're 5e compatible, of course. They're designed to be 5e adventures. Or you can play them as part of an overarching campaign. And you can use the other Dungeon in a Box monthly releases to be the continuity of your campaign, or you can jump out of your campaign, get into this 5e one shot, go back to your campaign. If you play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, which I know some folks are privileged and they have a lot of time and they have consistent party people who show up and play with them, so that's a possibility. But anyway, they are designed to go from one adventure to the other and link up to form a grander campaign should you choose to use these that way. So we're going to unbox this, which I have done, but I haven't really looked through the components that are also boxed inside of this box. I decided to finally jump on this train and subscribe because I could not beat the price. The subscription to start was like $7.50 USD for the first 2 months, free shipping, no additional fees, taxes, anything. This box alone is almost cool enough to warrant the $7.50. And this is basically what I got, except I think I got this in a literally a clear plastic bag with the shipping label on it, so you know exactly what's being shipped. So that's a little weird, but it is a really cool box, really, really cool presentation. Let's go ahead and get this thing opened up and see what's inside so you can see if it's worth it. I think the full price is around 16 USD per month once this discount runs out. But just from what I've seen here so far, I do think it's worth the full subscription price, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to stay subscribed just to get the minis and the tiles and the maps and the 3D furniture, which I love. The idea of that 3D terrain, rather. There might be some furniture. We'll see. We're going to unbox it right now, and we've already seen it. We've already glimpsed it. We got to take it out and look at it first. The Dragon Skull Hermit Crab. This is an insanely cool concept. And you already know that I'm going to be Will It Hero questing all of this stuff. But Dungeon in a Box, these special hermit crabs tend to take on the characteristics of the specific abode they choose, becoming more aggressive or protective than they would otherwise. Sailors and other explorers that have crossed paths with dragon skull hermit crabs swear that the dragon bone shells are all but impervious to attack. Love that. And now we're going to rip open this blister package, which is such a rewarding experience because I don't have nearly enough of these blister packages to open. Now, a word on the box. This box is really cool. Evidently, I'm going to end up with 12 of them because I'm going to get one a month and onwards if I continue subscribing past my first year. It is collapsible. You could take this entire box contents out and fold the box flat if you wanted to keep the box, but you don't have room to keep the box, which is a problem that I'm, facing myself, and I'm aware many of you are probably facing something similar. So you don't have to worry about this stuff taking up too much room. The Dragon Skull Hermit Crab. The attention to detail on this is just right. There is not too much. There is definitely not too little. You can tell exactly what it is. It's kind of cute. It's very, very rigid. There's not any fear of breaking this. These antennae and eyeballs are pretty firm. They're not super bendy. They go right back to where they were. Love this material. You could not only drop this on the floor, but outright throw this at one of your players. Please don't do that. And wouldn't damage the mini. It might damage your player, but it wouldn't damage the mini. As far as Will It Hero Quest, setting this right on my board, it'll encroach badly on the tiles around it if you try to make it a 2x2. If you made it a 3x3, it would work just fine. And having a monster like this in HQ, where you can attack from any side, but where it can also attack any of the tiles to which it is adjacent would be massive. It would be so dangerous. You'd only be able to use this in a couple of the rooms, or I guess you could use it in just about any room, but the two by threes over here. But it wouldn't be able to move around very much. It certainly wouldn't be able to go into the corridors. Anyway, moving on, we get a tray of these standees, and that's because Dungeon in a Box really champions the acrylic standee notion of minis. So these pop out. I've never popped out these before from any tray or anything. I'm going to let you listen to this, so hold on here. I'm going to let my phone pick up this audio. Oops, and now you'll get the large one. Those are going to be really long lasting. I love this material. I'm not really like a huge fan of the standee movement. I don't have any anime fig pins. This looks like it'd be a pretty cool homebrew project, so I'm going to keep this. There's no reason to throw this away when I might be able to do something with this. Perhaps if my Hero Quest minis fit in these holes, and they kind of do, there might be something that I can do with this. There might be something. Yeah, there might be something I can do with this. I don't know what yet, but we'll explore. We'll keep this for later. And the acrylic standee heroes and monsters and such will be able to go into these standees. And here's what we have for our acrylic standees. I don't know who all of these people are. We've got some heroes in here, though, playable, some important NPCs, lovely pirates. The Hermit Crab, Dragon Skull Hermit Crab, represented as a standee. We're going to use the miniature upgrade for sure. But really like these characters. And you know, I really like the art. I'm not against it whatsoever. It's simplistic. The idea of using 2D miniatures to represent your characters, it's fine. It's fine. The only complaints I have with it are, if I can get the bag open to begin with, is that you can't obviously like see them as easily from all angles. So if you were, for example, boy, that was a real chore to get off of there. I had to use teeth. Let's snap these guys out. If you were to put these guys on the board, let's see how they fit. Let's see how well they shove in there fairly well. The machined tolerances here are just close enough. Once you get this in here, it's kind of a chore to do so, actually. And you're probably not going to pull them back out. You may be required rather to file some of these edges off to get them to go into their standee holes. But once you get him in there, he's not coming out. That's not coming out of there ever again. I mean, you could definitely pull him out and put him back in if you wanted, but there's no accidentally coming out. So superior to the slot bases, I'll say. Every single Games Workshop and any other company slot base I've ever used has just sucked. But my only complaint here is you play him on the board, he's going to look great from this angle, he's going to look great from this angle, but like the other angles, you might be required to kind of move your head around to see who's who or what's what. But that's not really much an issue. It's not really a huge deal. It would really give a splash of color to whatever game you're playing, whatever board these guys are on. He's clearly blue. He stands out really well. I don't know about on camera from this angle, but he stands out pretty well on my broadsword Hero Quest board. Yeah, that's not too bad. I'm going to prefer 3D miniatures probably forever, but I mean, if you got to play with acrylic stands, this isn't too bad. I do appreciate that the stands are clear too, because it's a bit more immersive to have this guy wandering the dungeon floors, and you can actually see the dungeon floor under his feet, as opposed to the alternative, which is the monster base taking up all this real estate. Something I don't mind because I'm used to the convention. But this is kind of refreshing in a way. I'm still not going to buy anime fig pins. I don't agree with that idea at all. They should not exist. Okay, the Tabaxi Pirate. This was meant to be a Tabaxi, this Puss in Boots pirate character. He looks great. Stories circulate about the seedy or dockside hangouts of the charmed captain who has come out of impossible situations time and time again, miraculously unscathed. The captain keeps the fact of his multiple lives a secret. the better to further his legend, and because he himself isn't entirely sure how many he has left. It is Puss in Boots. It's just Puss in Boots. They just borrowed from Shrek. Good job, guys. I don't really have any complaints against this. I certainly don't mind. Again, best material I could possibly ask for minis. It's rigid, it's strong, it's really not bendy. It's got a little bit of give to it, which is great because the more give it has, the less snap it has. But man, 10 out of 10 material. Tail, I wonder how well this will age. I wonder 10 years from now if it will be super brittle or what. You see all the detail just fine. You can see his hook for a paw. Scimitar in other hand. Other paw. Well, that's a hand. That's definitely not a paw. Yeah, I like him. I like him a lot. The scale, does the scale make sense? Let's find out. We'll take his 2D counterpart, which looks hilarious compared to his 3D miniature. Snap that guy in there. It felt really good to do. I liked that. The scale is wildly different. There we go. Scale wildly different. I mean, that's not even the difference between 32 and 28. It's beyond that. But if I had one complaint, I love the base on this guy. Textured base. I love it. But it is big. It's not meant to be used on one grid square map, which is 1 inch grid square map, which is a bit weird considering when I look at the rest of this stuff, that's exactly what we're going to find in here. So we're going to put aside, bump the box for now, clear the area, and go over the rest of the materials. Here, you're going to get this awesome QC mark of approval. This box was prepped and checked by a burly owlbear, and I wonder who that is. Whoever the burly owlbear is, though, good job. Good job. Thank you for checking my box for accuracy and representing your company. I hope that you like what you do. Hal Hawkshaw, we've got character cards here with their 5e stats, which I'm not going to use these for 5e, but you could still take a look at the stats here and come up with the 3 ability cards for this character if you're going to use them for Hero Quest, or 6 ability cards, or what have you. Sandreal the Stargazer, he looks absolutely mad. He's a 4th level spellcaster. These are your important characters. This is something I haven't looked at yet. Integral to this specific release is The Star Tide, Voyage of the Fallen Star. And this is our 5e adventure. This includes an introduction, a section called the 5 Factions, the dungeon crawl, the Grey Haven events, perils at port, and monster stats. And a link for more information on this adventure, the Greenwald, and the rest of the Dungeon in a Box campaign. Check out our site. This is copyright 2020, kind of building on the fact that you're getting the same starting point for whatever it is that you're playing. And in advance of receiving this box, I did get an email with some preface notes and some handouts to give to my players should I be running the game. And those were pretty interesting. Different ways of pulling people into this adventure from either wherever you've left off in another adventure, or how to kind of give your session 0 the origin story that it needs for all your people to come together. Something that I think is important for a lot of people. Monastery of the Arched Sky, temple map characteristics, adventure setup. We have a lot of details. We have a lot of reading. We have a lot of stuff for the game master to memorize, possibly read out loud, but I think less of it's for reading out loud. Here in this little pouch, we have, what do we have here? What is this? Why are they in the pouch? Fragment of Arcane Resonance. A character with the compass can take an action to detect magic as the spell at will. Unlike the spell, this character must expend an action each round to maintain the effect. Fragment of Astral Alignment. We have a tile. This is sticker, actually. Don't know why. Don't know why yet. House quarters, the navigation room. This is a very thin card. I don't love it. Weird to have it on such flimsy paper, but this is actually a tile that represents the room. And then you've got Sandrill's quarters, the wizard's study. I do like them, though. I like the idea of that stuff being available for me. And then we have this giant mat, and this is thick, almost vinyl feeling paper. Opens up like a map, got a manufactured smell to it. It's not very strong at all. You're not going to get headaches from this or anything like that, but it's just a little scent that I noticed. We have a lovely map on the sea, and this is 1-inch grid tiles. I could absolutely use this chart of the Great Sea. I could recontextualize these places. Perhaps I could place down my own unique islands, draw my own stuff in, and I could have a tiny ship represent the hero party. And in between Hero Quest adventures, we could sail to different places, and that could kind of represent the direction that their adventure is going. They could sail to new islands, they could follow these established routes, or they could try to go off the beaten path, which would cost resources in terms of time and food and water and medicine. If they have somebody who's an accomplished sailor on their team, such as the Tabaxi Pirate. We've got 2 ships here. We can use either, or we can use both. If we're doing a bit of a scene where 2 ships are fighting each other. This is an exterior, however, of the ship, and this is an interior. And you can take the tiles that we have just looked at and place them in these rooms to give them more weight, more context. We've got some beds here for the adventurers as well, and a bit of a study there at the head of the ship. This is pretty floppy. It's going to take some sitting stuff down on to flatten out. So if you get this in advance of having your game a couple of days, then it would be a good idea to do that. These characters, again, this guy's base is beyond the 1 inch in every direction. So you can't have multiples of these without encroaching onto the other spaces, but it's fine if you're just going to use one character of this type. The acrylic standees, however, they stay within the confines of their tile, so they work out just fine. The scale is fine. However, the scale of the graphics on the tile, the graphics of the map itself, this is a complaint that I have with a lot of these mapped out areas that people market and sell, are way out of scale with the characters. This won't matter for the vast majority of people. You have a cool boat graphic, you got a cool ship that you can use it. But it does mean that you're going to have to hand wave the sizes of things for a bit. Like, here's a representation of my character, but no longer is it a 5 foot by 5 foot space. This is more like a 10 foot by 10 foot space. My character looks massive in this room of tiny beds. So something to keep in mind if that's important to you. If it's not, it might be to some. It might not be to others. I'm not here to gatekeep. I'm just here to point out what could be. So we have a lot more to go over, but I think we're almost done looking at the contents that are specific to this adventure. We've got one more, and this is the one I'm really excited about just by looking at it. I'm going to look at the opposite side first, in fact, because I'm saving the best for last. Lots and lots of water. We have docks, and these docks are a pretty good scale until we get right about here. And then the boxes and crates are like wildly out of proportion. I would ask that the artists redo some of this. Just do things a little bit differently with scale and size. But other than that, minor gripe, still very usable. You can have a giant Kraken battle here, or we flip this around and you have the dungeon. Excited about the dungeon. I always love a good dungeon. I don't know how good the dungeon is. We seem to have some rooms that are not connected to anything. I don't know how you'd get in here. I'm sure that there are notes in the quest book, however, that explain how all of this is to come about. Love it. Love the look. Always love a dungeon. We have chests in the dead ends, some of the larger rooms. We have tombs, some of which are partially opened, and we have traps. We have rock walls. We've got all this stuff laid out. If you like for your stuff to be all laid out for all the players to see from the very beginning, that can be fine. We've got no fog of war. We've got no reveals that can be had, though, that way. So that's a bit of a con in my book. May not be in your book, but it is in mine. It's not a big deal, though. We don't take things too seriously here. Nobody's life depends on it. Just, we fire whoever was in charge of that decision. No, I'm kidding. Okay, and this stuff, I believe, is going to come with your very first dungeon in a box, kind of regardless of what it is, although I think it's always going to be the pirate adventure. This is like the bonus content, and it is a giant acrylic standee or a very small frisbee. Haven't decided yet. We pop that right out of its acrylic trappings, and then we have a beautiful ice. Oh, I was going to say frost. Giant right here with his awesome looking axe, his incredible horned helmet. He hasn't been completely encased. And we got to break him out of his frost trappings, aka acrylic, and then he's got a little bit of a tab here we just easily remove. And then he is ready to be featured on your desk or in your games. You could use him as one of the first giants to be used in a Hero Quest game that is truly giant, to scale, gigantic, versus a Hero Quest character. Using a cultist again, I'm going to have like 8 of these cultists since I have 2 copies of Rise of the Red Moon, and these guys could be summoning this guy. I would rather he be more eldritch instead of like a frost giant, but here he is. And he's enormous. He's massive. You could hit anything in any square around him, but you'd need to have an extra large tile so he would actually be able to move around. Otherwise, it's just going to be turn after turn of hitting the squares around him and being hit by the squares around him or the heroes in the squares around him. But that's using him out of context. The real context is this 5e adventure. I guess this guy probably isn't featured in this campaign in particular, but that's okay because he's probably featured in whatever he comes with. And the rest of the stuff in this box is we've got, it's just a compass. It's just literally, I don't know. I don't know what this is. It's not a book. It's not anything that unfolds. It doesn't have perforations. It doesn't fold up. It's for us. What is it? I don't know. Perhaps we can use this as a screen. I don't know. Interesting. We might have something that holds it up so we can use it as a screen. And then finally, we have the part that I'm most excited about, because we get so very few cardboard things to build these days. These are the 3D terrain pieces that we can punch out and make into various things. We have a crate, and I think it's a really smart move to leave the bottom of the crate open. These fold, they feel almost kind of fragile, so we want to be very careful with them, but they pop satisfyingly into place. Tabs to openings. Now, that's lovely. That's not like the best crate I've ever seen, but it is a perfectly suitable crate. It kind of encroaches on the other squares. I wish it was smaller. Just finding everything I can to complain about. Don't mind me. But as such, it does work as its own tile so that your characters can stand on the crate. So we have a couple of those. A few, actually. There's a second, there's a third, and I think that if you're going to have crates, you should have lots of crates. So it's a good thing to have all these crates. We have, I don't know what this is yet. I'm sure we're going to have some instructions. Don't know what any of this stuff is yet. Interesting. And interesting. Looks like I figured it out. Market stall, is that what that is? These are going to fit in here like so. Doesn't seem to matter what the orientation of it is just yet. Doesn't have to be a market stall. It could be a bridge, I suppose. Still not totally sure. It rests on the board and looks like it will take up a 2x3 spot on the board without any issue. Go ahead and check out the last things on this sheet, which are spears. Don't know what these rest into yet, but I think we're getting to that. So worry not. And now, that's garbage. We have a lot of these spears, by the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more with the 4 that we've already punched out. So 12 spears altogether. We have, I think it is a market stall because here we have a table, I want to say. Not going by any instructions. I don't even see any instructions just yet. Yeah, and it's like a counter. It's like a counter. That's what that's like. That has a real charm about it. Little counter, little cute counter. It just makes me want to. It just makes me want to create a different one though, a better one. Yeah, this is probably not at all how this is supposed to go. We go up. No, I have no idea yet. Somebody's going to yell at me in the comments. I just know it. They're going to be like, "What are you doing?" Clearly, it's obvious what that is. Why are you doing it that way? Forgive me, okay? Go easy on Ash. Oh, these are doors. These are wonderful doors. There's curvature here in the bends. The perforations are just so designed so that we can arch that over and create awesome doors that are easy to close and open right on the board. There's our function. There's our utility. These might work a little inconsistently. You might have to play with them a little bit to get them to work right. Not a big deal. Do the spears fit in here? Yes, they do. They actually do. Not sure if they're supposed to, but they can. This is how we can represent that we have trapped doors. Yeah, those little tabs come right out, and yeah, we've got. And these don't have to be doors. These don't have to be doors. They could possibly be parts of walls. So then here is what can happen. Your trap can be sprung and can be persistent, so that the hero who walks across the trapped plate will spring the spears, and then you can place the spears on the side. You can place this if a player passes a check for traps search in whatever game, and however you want to term it. Then you can place the spikes in once they have triggered the plate. They could possibly find this with one search, and they could find the pressure plate with another. You could even have it like rotate. So every other few turns, you could have it swerve. Do it in a way that's predictable to your players. It swerve again. Whoever's sitting there is going to get hurt. Perhaps who's ever in any of these three squares or these two squares will get hurt. And if they're in this square, by the time it rotates again, they'll get hurt. But it'll continue to turn. You could do 180-degree turns. You could have multiple pressure plates in the dungeon that cause this and the other two doors to be constantly moving at different intervals. And it's very challenging for your heroes to get through the entirety of the dungeon in one piece. Never mind the monsters, never mind the other traps, never mind the wandering monsters and traps in the trap deck when they search for treasure. But difficult because these things are constantly moving around in patterns that are set but could appear to be at first unpredictable. So this is just one of the ideas I had looking at this, and I think that that's a lot of fun. I know that I screwed this up somehow, but this is literally all I have now from this set. So if this was actually built right, I don't mind it. I don't mind it. This is kind of cool. Nice to have a little market stall. You know, we can place our acrylic standee behind it, and then one more coming down to view the presentation. This is our presentation. We have Khajiit, who has wares. Khajiit has wares if you have coin. I know it's a tabaxi. I'm committing multiple cardinal sins here. I will be wanted in several countries. Okay. I figured it out. This board is your key to continuing your campaign. This sticker goes on this board. It becomes a part of your ongoing adventure by filling in one of the slots on this board. I believe these are called fragments, and the reason I think so is because I didn't notice this when I first pulled these out, but these are actually stickers. Fragment of astral alignment or fragment of arcane resonance. I think you pick one. Maybe you actually do pick both, but you pick one, and then this sticker will go onto the back of this board. And now you've got a legacy, a permanent addition to the game. I'm going to go ahead and put the sticker on because I don't really mind. I don't really mind affecting these components because I'm not going to play the 5e adventure as is. But I am curious about how I might be able to translate this sort of mechanic into HQ. So sort of a progression mechanic of sorts. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I like this idea a lot. Actually, then you have a really quick reference board that will end up showcasing all of the different things that you can do, that your players can do in the game. Nice job. Nice job, Dungeon in a Box. Thank you for that. Back up, and this is the overview of the mess that I am left with now that I have unboxed everything. Whoa, sorry. Very professional. In the first month of Dungeon in a Box. So, do comment what you thought of this down below. I covered everything in my first box, and my second box is actually not far away from being on its way to me, and I'm going to unbox that one much sooner. So you can get a good idea of whether or not this is right for you, especially at its current price, which is just shockingly cheap. Like, these materials, they're losing money. They're losing money getting rid of this stuff this cheap. I mean, it might be mass produced to where you're not going to lose money no matter what. It might even be breaking even. But I really think that it's a great introductory price to see if you're impressed with the quality of the materials and if you like them. I certainly think that it's worth it for the game pieces. I'm never going to play the 5e campaign. Let's just be honest. I don't play 5e. I'm never going to be interested in that. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with the standees, but I do like them. So maybe I will amass myself a little collection and use them for something. But this guy, there is no reason he can't be in Hero Quest. Dragon, Skull, Hermit Crab, I love him. I love him. And so that, my friends, is Dungeon in a Box. Like, subscribe, comment down below. All that stuff really helps the channel. Some folks have visited saying, I can't believe you don't have more views. I can't believe it either. I'm just kidding. I'm not that egotistical. But if you want the channel to have more views, that's one way you can help push it, by interacting with it and telling the algorithm, viewers like you need to see this content. Anyways, stay tuned if you like this sort of thing. Check out the other videos on my channel. Tell me what you think about those, and I'll see you next time. Until then, ow, I hit the spear trap.